And welcome inside episode 118 of Breaking Bats, presented by Not For Long Media. My name is Justin Ayers, and I am joined by a very, very, very special guest. It is the host of the Ripken Show. It is my good pal. It is Ryan Ripken, making his grand return to the Breaking Bats podcast. He is the man. He's given me a little bit of his night. He's had a busy day, but he's always down to talk some ball, which I'm always thankful for. Ryan, you are the man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. As you can see, if you're watching this on the Breaking Bats pod, we got some things going on here. We literally just finished our show. We got a lot more things planned for the rest of the week. And then Baltimore's buzzing too right now with the Orioles and then the O's and the Nats, battle of the Beltways. So we got a lot of things planned here. But I always will give you time, Justin. Big fan of the show, big fan of the program. So thank you for having me back.
Means a lot, dude. So yeah, we'll start with some Beltway baseball stuff. We'll start with the O's. I saw a video today on Orioles socials that I loved dearly. It was their new owner, Mr. David Rubenstein. He will be the guest splasher in the outfield this Friday night. He's been in a ton of social videos. You've had a chance to interview him. How great has it been just seeing what he's done in a short time in Baltimore?
Man, it's been great. I mean, honestly, I think great's an understatement as far as how many people have embraced. I mean, if you go on social media and you see what one, the videos that he's involved with, you see his humor, his wittiness, his, just genuine, enthusiasm for the team, right? And then on top of it, people are so excited that he is so enthusiastic about the team, and the fact that he's going to be the guest splasher at called Ruben Splash is unbelievable. It's hysterical. But again, it's the little things that fan bases and the communities love. This is one of them. And I mean, it's a great time. The team's playing extremely well, best team in the American League. And on top of it, your owner seems to find different ways to have essentially this community continue to kind of fall in love with him during really what is his first year as taking over as the controlling owner of the Baltimore Orioles.
It's been so great to see. I tweeted this earlier. I think he's going to be the gold standard for ownership groups and for owners moving forward. I've never seen another owner in sports or in baseball really that's been out there willing to go on Twitter and respond to people, respond to our good pal Eric Arditi every time he asks if he wants to get lunch. Like, I just feel like he's always there. It's the best. Shout out Eric.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. But shout out RDT right there. But I mean, that's just the thing. It's just like David just feels like the community is like, I like feel as one with David. He goes along with the jokes and he goes along with really the enthusiasm of actually the ball club. The ball club's fun, very talented group, the chemistry, the Homer hose or the dong bong, whatever the hell you want to call it. Then you have the splash zone. Everyone is getting in on the action here in Baltimore. And man, I'll tell you what, it is awesome to see, no doubt about it. And the only thing, maybe if you're an Orioles fan, maybe we just get rid of the City Connects. Other than that, everything is going well in Baltimore. And the reason for the City Connects is just because, yeah, it's just, I'm a superstitious baseball guy, Justin. You know this. And the Orioles, let's just face it, not a lot of great things have happened when they've worn those uniforms in Baltimore.
It's also City Connect season this spring. So it's every time I look on Twitter, it's like, ooh, there's a new one. There's so many. Yeah. Some of them are good. Some of them are bad. But you know what? That's fine. I had a question about two guys and just like the state of the Orioles rotation right now, because Bradish came back, looked awesome. Means came back, looked awesome. I know Grayson and Tyler Wells are still on the shelf, but like the state of the O's rotation right now, it's got to be good things though.
Yeah, I mean, the thing right now with this Orioles rotation, if we're just being honest, this is something when I tell people, when you think who's going to be the odd man out, what's going to happen? Well, you don't know what's going to happen because injuries are a part of the season, right? It's going to happen constantly. And for the Orioles, people are wondering about what the moves were going to be. And right now, the moves are Kyle Bradish and John Means came back. Amazing. Unfortunately, Grayson Rodriguez is on the shelf, and then you have Tyler Wells as well. So this isn't the exact way that people thought the rotation was going to go, but I'll tell you what, man. Holy shirts and pants, Justin. Cole Irvin has looked fantastic. Corbin Burns has been as advertised. And then you have guys like Big Dean Kramer. Big D, he is absolutely wheeling and dealing. And he's obviously a good friend of mine. He's a good kid, great kid, Justin. But this is what the Orioles are doing right now. So for everyone that's trying to figure out what should they do with guys, the beauty of the Baltimore Orioles right now is that they have multiple options. They're extremely deep with their starting rotation and guys that can be starters or go to the pen. That's ultimately going to help them. And right now, they're just feeding off of one another. It's just start after start after start. They just seem to be on a roll. Quite frankly, right now, the way that they're pitching, this team, they keep it up. They could really start to distance themselves in what is going to be a competitive AL East, no doubt about it. But man, you're an O's fan. You cannot be happier with how the staff is done, despite not having all of your top guys out there at the same time.
Depth, I think, is going to be the name of the game moving forward. Who's that guy they called up who hadn't pitched in the big leagues in like 5 years, and he was like 2-0 to start?
Mr. Albert Suarez.
Yeah, it's like
Mr. Albert. Dude, 7 years since he was in the big leagues last, and then he comes up to Baltimore, and he's throwing like 97 mile an hour sinker, two seamers. He's throwing this cutter that he didn't throw back in 17. And here's a guy in his mid 30s that you're thinking, well, how is he going to factor in? Why do the Orioles have him? But this is the thing why also you don't make moves either, and you got to trust who you have. The Orioles understood that they got to let some things play out because you never know a situation where Albert Suarez now has gone to the bullpen and has now provided a different spark for this team. And that's really the cool thing. I'm a romantic about this. And actually, Zach Bollinger on my show loves to say the line, how can you not be romantic about baseball, right? And he's actually, pumping his fist as I say that right now, but it's true, right? And that's a moment right there. How can you not be romantic about the idea that someone keeps grinding and working, and then some scout goes, I think he can help a team, and not just any team. He can help one of the best teams in all of baseball.
Pitching lab. They're cooking something up over there in the pitching lab.
Maybe. Cooking.
You mentioned good kids. And for those who are familiar with Ryan's work, anytime one of his old pals, I guess from like the Norfolk, the Orioles days, does something awesome, he's like, hey, he's a good kid. I'm wondering, Ryan, if you had to make a Mount Rushmore of your good kids, who would they be?
Oh man, the Good Kid Club. Wow. That is tough because it's hard to give out that full stamp of approval. And actually, another friend of mine, the 3-0 Take guys, another baseball podcast, Kyle Corwin, actually made this good kid meme. It's literally a stamp of approval. It's like, you're a good kid with my tweet, and it has the stamp. So if I'm going to go, I'll start this off. Good kid, Mike Baumann. I've known Baumann all the way through and through with the Orioles, played every level with them except the big leagues. So he's definitely on that list of just good kids up there. I got to give it to my other man, Dean Kramer. Really good kid. How can you not like Dean? Especially, I like to mess with Dean because everyone thinks he was trying to go after Soto, and he wasn't. Nothing was said. But you know what? Dean still went out there and pitched. It was a storyline, but the storyline to Dean was, hey, we got to win. And he's a dude that just genuine good dude. Oh, man. Who else on this Orioles team? This is tough. It's really tough. You're going to put me in a predicament here. And I'll probably, and this is to be fair, if it's only 4, right? My Mount Rushmore. I got to go with guys I've known longer, right? So Cedric Mullins, good kid, especially going through his adversity back in 2019, starting outfielder in the big leagues, gets demoted all the way down to Double-A, and him and I are teammates. And the dude's just a pro's pro. He loves the game. He works hard, and he just embodies kind of what this rebuild has been in Baltimore. Just keep grinding. And yeah, just a great guy. Also, friends with Nick Moore. They played high school baseball together. Nick Moore, friend of the Breaking Bats program and the Ryan Ripken Show as well. And finally, I think for this moment, and it's tough. And he's not currently on the team, but I got to give to Nick Vespi. Vespi, great hair, first off. And that is one of the guys I actually knew Vespi from before I started pro ball. And just great guy, really good kid. And he's kind of worked his way into be this crafty lefty that his time hasn't come in Baltimore yet as much as he'd like, but a guy definitely can get the job done. And I'm always pulling for him. But like, dude, I could go down the list of the other guys. You know what I mean? Like we had Kowser and Westberg, great, like really good kids. And I think that's why, I mean, I know I'm throwing this term around, but I think for people to understand this, just talk to Cole Irvin too. They just have a bunch of good kids on their team, and it's genuine as hell. Like they legit love to go to work with one another. They love the environment. And what you see them doing on the field is exactly what they're doing off of it. Just being dudes and guys that really love the ability to go out there and compete and chase another division title and hopefully this time get to a World Series.
Your interview with Kowser and Westy that's the ultimate guys being dudes. It was so
guys,
funny.
Dude, they were doing an interview. They had adjoining rooms and they were doing the Zoom calls and they went outside to show each other on the call instead of just doing the call together. And great funny nicknames too, by the way, Milkman. And we're trying to work on Westy, like the Wild Wild West or West Burger. So we're trying to figure those things out. But yeah, like great guys, man. And hey, they are off to some phenomenal starts.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from the official sponsor of Not For Long Media and the Breaking Bats podcast, the original Fudge Kitchen. It is a staple of the Jersey Shore with 6 locations in Cape May, Wildwood, North Wildwood, Stone Harbor, and Ocean City. The original Fudge Kitchen makes all of their fudge in-store guaranteeing a delicious product, so stop by and let them know that Not For Long Media and Breaking Bats sent you. Check them out online at fudgekitchens.com as they are shipping fudge and sweet treats all across the country. Now back to the episode. It's also very funny to think that like you call these guys good kids as if you're like super old. You're like a couple years older than all of these good kids.
Oh yeah, well the good kid thing is like when things are going wrong in the minor leagues, essentially, is that we just would go like, hey, you might be 0 for 15 with 9 Ks, but I think you're a good kid. You know what? The front office might not like you, but I think you're a good kid, right? So we'd make fun of it, and try to keep it light because it's so damn hard. And if you can crack a smile and just remind people on a different age, that's how it started for me, is that, hey, you're not defined by the game. And it turned into be a joke, but also it's like, hey, it is just a game. And at the end of the day, you still are a good kid.
Last Orioles question for you. This is going to be, I think, one of the most highly contested AL MVP races in a long time between our guy Gunnar Henderson and my former guy Juan Soto until he went to New York and became the enemy. Can you see this going down the stretch, a back and forth slugfest between those two for the MVP?
Absolutely. I mean, so what Gunnar Henderson is lacking as far as just with Juan Soto just being Juan, and just crushing it, Gunnar makes up with all the other tools that he has. And it's not that Juan Soto isn't a toolsy player. He is, dude. And you saw it on display. You've seen it in his career. No moment's too big. He can take down any pitcher in the league. And that series he had in Baltimore was sensational. Like he is that good. Gunnar, what you're seeing is the guy is even younger, learning how to adapt and hit lefties. He's hitting lefties better than righties. And he's starting to figure out just how damn good he can be. And a guy, he was the youngest player to hit 10 home runs before May 1st in Major League history, right? So, yeah, I think if there was 3 guys right now going into the season, the 2 that I had, actually, I said I took the bias one and said Gunnar Henderson, but I thought coin flip Gunnar Henderson or Juan Soto. Dark horse, Bobby Witt Jr., those 3. But you had a 1-3 chance of those guys winning. I really do think it's going to be a great wild ride. And I hope for baseball fans, it's with Gunnar Henderson and Juan Soto trying to chase down that AL East. Imagine that, man. Like these teams fighting for a division title plus a MVP race. This is what baseball fans would dream of.
Former teammate Juan Soto.
Former teammate of Juan as well. And again, I told you this before, the 2 oh shit moments I've ever had with players in my entire professional career is Juan Soto and Gunnar Henderson. And it's proving true right now just how special that they are.
You only play with MVPs. Juan's former team, the reason why he makes me sad, the Washington Nationals, they're making me really happy at this point. They're back. I'm just going to say it. If the playoffs started today, they would be the 3rd wild card. And also they lead MLB with 12 come from behind wins, sitting at a cool 500 clip right now. This organization, it's been a long time since they've been good, since 2019. But do you think in the last couple years of trades and kind of savvy veteran free agent moves like we talked about this winter, should they get more credit for the way they've handled things the last couple years?
I love what the Nats are doing. And I think that they're a few years behind as far as where the Orioles are as far as in this rebuild. And if you think about this in general with the Nats, they had to make a choice when they knew Trey Turner and Max Scherzer and Juan Soto, they were all going to move away from them and make the next move, right? It was the understanding that you had to try to rebuild and you want to try to do it right. And look, they've developed, or they made good trades. I think that Gore is a guy that's going to be a staple for them. CJ Abrams is already a rising star, and he's a future face that people aren't talking about enough. And then on top of it, you have a guy that's, you just drafted one of the best overall outfielders, the prospects and crew. So when you're looking at what they're building there, I'm not saying it's the Orioles-esque of how many guys, but it is something where you can be really happy about the product that they're putting on the field. And I think, Justin, I think they can have a very competitive year. And I think next year, it's not surprising to say that they could really take that next leap. Honestly, I really do love what they're doing.
Money's coming off the books. Corbin's coming off. Strasburg's going to be coming off. They're going to have a lot more money to spend in free agency. Yeah, I think you're right. I think right now, if we can like project them to be like, I don't know, 500-ish, maybe high 70s again or something, but I'm very excited for what they're building in DC. I think Mike Rizzo is working another masterclass. And we talked about Gallo. He hasn't been the savvy vet free agent signing. I'm talking about Winker, Senzel, former first round draft picks that are coming on later in their careers on these cheap deals. Like, pretty good.
Oh yeah. I mean, and this is the game you got to play. And Rizzo deserves a tremendous amount of credit. Imagine though, for all the ones saying, how could you let all these talented guys go? Well, it's way more complicated than that. And you got to make a decision. And then a guy like Juan, they turn down the offer. And then if he's not going to be there, how do you try to get your value? And how do you try to get out of a rebuild or quote unquote down period as quick as possible? I think the Nats are doing that, and I think they had changes to their scouting department. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, Justin, I'm pretty sure one of their big components they brought over was from the Orioles. And I'm afraid I might butcher the last name, Cielic. I know it's going to bother me, but I think he came from Baltimore. And so they really were trying to make a conscious decision. We're not going to be in no man's land. We're going to commit to this. And we have guys that we believe are going to be able to go out there and have success. And so far, the plan looks like it's going the way that they want. And in a competitive A or NL East, you're going to need that in order to compete with the guys like the Phillies and the Braves, because just face it, those teams the next few years aren't going anywhere. But I think the Nats are equipping themselves right. And talk about City Connect jerseys. We were talking about it earlier on the show. The Nats probably have the one of the freshest City Connect jerseys in all baseball.
Cherry blossoms rock. Yeah, those
rock.
I think they're getting rid of those though. I don't know why. I feel like this is the last year of those.
Yeah, we don't need that.
But no, big fan of what they're building. A couple last things for you, Ryan. Somebody who didn't make the good kids list, but I'm sure he's up there. It is Oakland A star Tyler Nevin. And the A's are in that same kind of bucket as the Nationals of teams that are like friskier than they probably should be, or friskier than people thought that they would be. They're just a game under 500. Tyler Nevin's killing it. He's batting like 300 this year. They won't be a playoff team. They're for sure going to drop off at some point, but how much of a surprise is it to be May 6th talking about the frisky Oakland A's?
Yeah, as we record this, they're 2.5 games out of the division. Last year, so right now they're 17-18 as we're talking about this. Weren't they 17-50 last year, something like that? And I know I might be wrong with that, but the point is this Oakland team is way better than they were last year. They're way different than they were last year. It helps when you have two guys at the back end of your bullpen, which is headed by Mason Miller, who that dude's a dog, and he might be the best relief pitcher right now out there. And no doubt about it. Here's 102, 103, Soto, Judge, Henderson right by you. Three of the best players, and you know it's coming, and you can't hit it, right? So for Oakland, you split the series with the Yankees. You take 2 or 3 from Baltimore. It's really impressive what they've done. And yeah, I'm not expecting them to last and be the Cinderella team to go the rest of the season, but I do think they deserve a lot more credit for everyone expecting them to just be the worst team in baseball. They're really far from it.
They're right now, they're like halfway to their projected win total for the year.
Yeah.
So let's go. This is a 50-win team. It's like, no, they're going to be
let's go Sacramento A's, or they're just going to be the Athletics, right? After this year.
Probably. Yeah.
Oh, that's for a different time.
Yeah. My last thing, the San Diego Padres and the Miami Marlins agreed to a rare May blockbuster when Luis Arias got shipped over to the Padres and 3 prospects and a reliever went back to Miami. I've been reading a lot about the new Marlins GM, Bendix from the Rays, and just like how quickly he threw in the towel on a season. My question to you as a former player is like, I know up to this point, the Marlins knew that they were bad, but like, I'm sure the vibe was like, we could still turn this around. How frustrating would it be to have that decision taken out of your hands and like, no, you're not going to get a chance to turn it around. We're bad. See you later.
Well, I think here's the thing. If you're a guy that's trying to make it on this team or to figure out your role, this could be the best opportunity for you, because it's really saying who's going to be a part of our future. And that's kind of what happened with the Orioles. If we're going to look back to the when Elias came over in the winter of 2018, and then up until 2021, it was really kind of an open trial for the team of who's going to be a part of the future. And so it's a tremendous opportunity. But if you're a veteran guy and you've had all these high expectations, and the Marlins, not saying that they were going to be a team that was expected to challenge for the division, but this was a team that had playoff aspirations again, right? Disastrous offseason for them as far as in their personnel and all what happened and transpired there. Then just you can't win games. You find ways to lose early. And this is the hardest thing as a player now. It's easy when you can play, Justin, when you're winning and you're not focusing as much on the individual side. But now when you sit 15 games out of the division at 10-26 right now, the only team that's worse than them is the Chicago White Sox at this moment, right? It might be the Rockies. I apologize. It was Colorado and Chicago. That was the other team. Those are the only 2 teams, but all squads, Justin, have 26 losses. Like, it's demoralizing for that sense. So, and the other part of it is the Padres aren't giving up. You know, they are refusing to throw in the towel despite the Soto move and everything that's happened. They're in a weird place. So for the Marlins, I don't blame them. But for a player now, you're going to have to test yourself of going, hey, realistically, we're going to keep battling. But our front office is telling us right now, 2024 is kind of flushed down the drain, and we got to try to start thinking about 2025.
It's so demoralizing. Like, people are like, why don't more trades happen in May? It's like, because most teams want to try to figure it out a little bit longer than May 6th to determine if a team's going to be bad or not. Like, I don't know. Like, you always hear the old adage, oh, it's still early. You know, a lot of ball left. That's what I say when my teams are bad.
A lot of ball
left. You know what? There's a lot of ball left, but that ball is going to be an inconsequential ball. And I feel bad for like Josh Bell and Jake Berger and all these guys who are like, we were in the playoffs last year and now we're bad. Quite the it's like the Rob Schneider. Oh no, we suck again.
Yeah.
Lot going on down there in South Beach, but Ryan, I'll let you go. This has been incredible. Thank you so much for making your epic return to the Breaking Bats podcast. I always appreciate it, and I really appreciate your time.
Hey, I appreciate you, Justin. We'll probably talk sooner than you might realize, but always a fan to come on the Breaking Bats.